But the thing that number one AI overviews pulls from the most, the first 1,000 words of your content that Google's pulling from, most of that's coming from your intro. And the thing that like AI search often cites the most is your intro. It's also the part where people will leave if it's not good. And it's the reason people end up skimming. People have the most attention at the beginning of your post, so get their attention.
Welcome to the Agents of Change, the podcast experience you've been waiting for your entire marketing career. Search, social, mobile, AI, blockchain, and neuromarketing. These are the Agents of Change, and so are you. Digital marketing success awaits, and your transformation begins now.
Welcome to another episode of the Agents of Change podcast, the podcast that helps you reach more of your ideal customers online. My name is Rich Brooks. I'm your host. This is episode 594, powered by Flight New Media, where I hang my hat. Do you need help with SEO, branding, or making sense of your analytics dashboard? We've been doing this for businesses just like yours for nearly 3 decades. Reach out at takeflight.com or theagentsofchange.com, and I'll get right back to you. And here's the thing. Just because I've been doing this for over 28 years doesn't mean that I think I know everything, or I'm not open to learning new approaches. This week's episode is a great example. While keywords and keyword research will continue to be part of SEO for years to come, after all, keyword research is just about understanding the words and language that your customers use, and there's nothing wrong with that. Today's SEO is a more nuanced affair, especially now that we need to consider GEO, or GEO, which is the current flavor of the month when it comes to describing optimizing your content for AI tools like ChatGPT. We've been talking about this at Flight for at least a year, but I feel that today's guest has a great approach to SEO that you should consider. It is less to do with chasing algorithms and more to do with serving your customers, which hopefully will never go out of style. Before we get to that, in other news, meanwhile, back at the ranch, I was reading an interesting study this past week that asked is comprehension in comics more effective than in traditional texts in skilled adult readers, an eye movement-based study? It's always a mouthful, these surveys, right? I'm going to say that again. Is comprehension in comics more effective than in traditional text in skilled adult readers, an eye movement-based study? It caught my attention because, well, comics. But I was also interested in it because it seemed to hint at the idea that we could improve comprehension when we present information in the form of sequential art, aka comics. I was already imagining redoing the entire Flight New Media website and possibly the Agents of Change site in graphic novel form as soon as I saw the headline, explaining concepts around SEO or targeting in paid search or social ads or the fan-out query method. It can be difficult, but if we did it in comics, maybe people would understand it better. The upshot is that in the testing comprehension between traditional texts and comic text, it was basically the same. In other words, the comic format didn't make people understand it better. However, they read through the comic version much faster and had the same level of comprehension. So if you read the comic version as opposed to the text version, you won't have a deeper understanding of the topic, but you'll have an equal understanding in significantly less time. So that's a bonus. So there may be a place for comic book style panels in our websites, but I won't be rebuilding them from the ground up either. Of course, there's more nuance and caveats in there, but I'll let you decide for yourself if you're interested. The URL is absolute gobbledygook. I'm not going to say it out loud, so I put it in the show notes so you can check it out at your convenience. But for now, let's look at SEO funnels and how they might convert more business for your business. My next guest is the founder of She Knows SEO and a multi-6-figure blogger who turned travel stories into a 7-figure business. She grew her blog to 50,000 sessions in 6 months, scaled to 30,000 monthly income in under a year, and has since hit 100,000 months with her content strategy. She now teaches over 10,000 bloggers and business owners how to turn their content into passive traffic, scalable income, and real freedom without burning out or relying on social media. Today, we're going to be talking SEO sales funnels with Nina Clapperton. Nina, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Rich.
So, what led you to your interest in SEO?
Mostly hating my job as an estate law clerk and being extremely bored. I had a travel blog that I wanted to be like Instagram famous on, but I didn't even own a phone or a camera, so that wasn't working. And yeah, I gave myself a challenge that I had 12 months to make my blog profitable, or I had to go back to law school, which I'd bailed on before. And it's a really good incentive when you don't want to write wills for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Burn the ships. So, but what was it like? So you sat there and you were like, okay, I'm going to give myself 12 months. Did you immediately say like SEO is probably a solution, or did you try a bunch of things and end up with SEO?
I'd already kind of been trying things, but I would do that whole like kind of like hop between different frying pans method of I'll do TikTok for 2 days, I'll do Pinterest for 2 days, I'll do whatever for 2 days. And SEO, as someone who's not a visual thinker and as someone who didn't have a camera, it was the easiest option where I kind of started working on it. It made sense immediately to my brain. And I figured out pretty quickly that algorithms have a lot of patterns I could recognize. And as someone who's autistic, pattern recognition is a lot easier for me. So it was very easy to lean into that, I think. And when I set myself the goal, like I wasn't even really sure it would work, to be honest. I just kind of knew I needed to actually stick to one thing. So SEO of all the options seemed like the easiest to stick to for a year. And that's really where it came from. And I figured I've heard other people have done well with it. Why can't I do well with it?
So that is fascinating, especially your diagnosis. I'm just kind of curious for somebody who maybe runs on a different operating system than I do. Give me one example of like a pattern that you saw that you're like, oh, I'm seeing maybe what not everybody else sees.
Oh, that's a good question. I also have ADHD, so I don't remember the patterns very often, which is very funny. No, I think the biggest thing was that I just saw that like people had questions that no one was answering, and it didn't matter if they were on like any sort of keyword research platform or not. And I kept seeing people like keep asking because it wasn't on Google. But then like SEMrush and Ahrefs would tell me, no, no one cares about that. And it was a pattern that kept coming up. So I wrote for those kind of keywords twice. And then I realized like, oh, hey, they got 5,000 page views each for like 2 posts. And so quickly I started to notice as well, like patterns in the keyword structure and what tended to work in the keyword structure the most. So you could kind of, it's called programmatic SEO to some degree, but I wasn't doing it quite as extensively as they do it, where it was like pros and cons of living in X, pros and cons of living in Y. Does it rain in winter in X? Does it rain in, like you just kind of keep subbing through. So I think those were kind of the first two immediate patterns for me.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then just like, I love to track data. So getting to track how everything was interconnected and like the cause and effect of it all, I actually care about, I guess, where other people get very tired of looking at it.
Fascinating. All right. Thank you. Now, you talk a lot about audience first SEO. For those of us who focus on algorithms and rankings, what does audience first look like in practice?
So ultimately, it is about thinking about humans first. Because if we think about algorithms, their entire goal is to satisfy the user, right? But if we're satisfying the algorithm, we're actually a step behind because users are always advancing and algorithms are advancing to meet the user. So most of the time, if you're satisfying an algorithm, you're satisfying a trend that's already ending for the user. Like they're already starting to move on to the next thing. When you're actually going straight to the source, when you're going right to those people and figuring out what they need, what they want, what's best for them, that's when you get like diehard fans that are in it, that will stay with you, that care more about like your site and your business than just hitting it once and then going back to Google to find like the next list of restaurants near you or something. Like they're actually here for you. I also think it's more about the full audience journey. So figuring out how someone moves through your site. And because I started in travel, the main way that looked to me was how can someone plan a full trip on my website? Like how can someone have a Nina level trip, not just one post on a thing and then they dip and they're gone. I want to make sure that like they can move through and keep talking to me and keep learning about these things. It also means sometimes writing for stuff that does not rank because like things to do in Rome, my baby brand new site, not going to get that one. But it's important for the context because like if I was an audience member who shows up on that site and you don't like, it's a site about Rome, you don't have things to do in Rome. I'm like, what's happening? What is this website? And same for businesses. So I think it's really important to think about audience experience, audience trust, and ultimately what the audience's goal is, and make sure that you're satisfying every level of that. And then I don't even think secondary. I think like fourth is when we start thinking about the algorithm, because ultimately they are focused on the user first. So we should be too.
I love that approach. It almost feels like the Wayne Gretzky approach to SEO. Like you don't pass where they are, you pass where they're going to be. So, all right. So more people obviously are turning to ChatGPT to answer questions, or they're stopping at AI overviews on Google. How does that impact our approach to SEO, or how should it impact our approach to SEO?
I think it does in a couple ways. So number one, backlinks and DA kind of dead, which I think is great, to be honest, because some of those backlink farms need to go. But I think we also are, again, getting more into the user. So AI knows the user inside and out. It knows that anytime I look for restaurants, I'm celiac. So it's never going to suggest like the Gluten Hut or something. It's going to be like, nope, Nina would never go there. So it is getting so introspective that we need to really know who we're talking to and be very firm on that. I think we also need to do a lot more long tail keywords, because a search now with ChatGPT, like what are the best restaurants near me? It's kind of using that, Google calls it the query fan out method, which is basically just a fancy way of saying it's doing 100 searches and then combining them for you, where it's going to search, okay, celiac restaurants. It knows Nina likes Mexican restaurants. It knows like that I like to bring my dog with me. So it's going to look for dog friendly options. It knows that today is Tuesday. So what's open today? Stuff like that. It's doing all of that at once. So rather than writing an article that is best restaurants in Portland or something, we need to be doing like best restaurants in Portland for people with celiac, for that, like get that long tail keyword. I also think the biggest thing is topical authority, because all of these things, they're trusting you like a user. So the thing that I found that has had the most impact, I just started a new site literally like on June 17th, and it is the beginning of July now. So it's been up for 2 weeks. It is already ranking really well because I immediately published a full topic cluster that's connected. It has no backlinks. It has nothing. Like it is just that. And within 7 days, it was already getting traffic from Google. And I had literally, again, done nothing that you're supposed to do for traditional SEO, but it was getting AI search as well. And I noticed in the analytics, it got indexed by ChatGPT so fast because I was attracting I was thinking of the audience for their full journey. So I was attracting people at any point in the journey. And I think that that's what it really likes. Because when someone's saying, okay, best restaurants, you'll notice it starts to think of the next thing and starts to cite extra bits and details. And if you already have those posts, then you can rank for that or get cited or whatever we're going to call it, because we still haven't landed on a term for it, I don't think, in the industry. But I'd also say it's less about informational posts. So anything that was a yes or no answer, meh. And I think a lot of us need to start thinking like local business owners, like service-based business owners, where any press is good press. We want to have our name in the billboard of ChatGPT, because it is huge for ChatGPT to say hey, who's a great blogging coach? You should go to Nina if she knows SEO. People are like, oh my God, ChatGPT knows you? And I'm like, yeah, because I've trained it a lot at this point. But also it's important for business owners to be found that way. So I think a bigger thing, we need to accept that we're not going to get the same percentages of traffic that we used to from a single query, but we can get more from different places. And we need to be thinking, again, user first, because algorithm first, AI algorithms advance way too fast to be able to quote unquote hack them.
All right. Now, you mentioned the fan out method, and this is a term that John in my office, my digital marketing manager, has been starting to throw around. And on some level, it sounded like a rename of some previous SEO approaches. So can you just quickly define for us what you mean by the fan out method?
Yeah, so I'm using Google's exact definition from their I/O keynote, where basically they even give a visual of on one side, it's someone typing in things to do in Nashville for a girls' trip. One of us is celiac. 10 of us want to wear cowboy hats at dinner and. So it's pulling out all of the little individual searches out of that, and it's running those searches. So it would then basically fan out to do, okay, things to do in Nashville, girls' trip, restaurants, Nashville, celiac friendly, cowboy themed activities, I guess, in Nashville. It's running all those searches. Then it kind of goes to like a mid ground, parses it, comes through, analyzes, creates an answer, and then sends it to the audience back. So essentially, it's like I went to an assistant and said, can you do 10 searches for me, read the results, then filter through what's best, and then give it back. And that's what we're getting back with AI mode and ChatGPT.
So with that in mind, how has that changed your approach to blogging and content creation? Are you writing? I mean, I know you said you don't write for the algorithms, but that must have affected the way that you approach content creation, huh?
I definitely like algorithms are still a part of it for sure. But I've always been okay with writing for stuff that won't rank if it helps my audience, because with internal linking, you can get people there. But with this, I'd say the main thing it changed is that you really need to make sure that you are super, super clear on all of those defining characteristics. So if I'm writing a post that's like things to do in Rome or Nashville, I used to do things to do in Nashville, but then I'd like hint at who my ideal audience was inside of the post because I didn't want to like turn off, I guess, Google or people being like, no, I don't want solo female traveler version of this. Now I'm getting very specific. And I think ultimately like pushing people away brings your ideal people closer, and especially with ChatGPT search. I'm also using headings less for secondary keywords and more for like secondary intent. So if it is things to do in Nashville, I'm going to use headings to kind of signal like, okay, things to do in Nashville for a girls trip, best restaurants for a girls trip, like things where it's a next step. It's not just rewriting the H1 over and over and over again, which kept being a thing for a while. I'd also say that like, it's let me get shorter and sweeter, because I was definitely one of those people who did the skyscraper method where it was just write more than everyone else. And that's not helpful. I mean, if you think of it like, do you really care if the apartment building you live in is a story higher than another apartment building? No. You care that yours has a doorman, a dog washing station, free parking, a massage every Tuesday, which would be amazing. I wish my apartment would do that. You care about the quality of it. And then I would say, again, like for me, it's always just been connecting the content. And then the main change, I'd say, is my offsite strategy, where I'm no longer worried about backlinks. I'm worried about branded mentions. And mentions can happen now in Instagram captions. It can happen on podcasts like this, YouTube interviews, YouTube videos. And I'm much more worried about multimodal, which is essentially Google's fancy term of saying be everywhere. Don't just be an SEO. They really want us to have at least one or two other digital presences so that they're like, hey, you're not made up. Like you actually exist. That's kind of my biggest change, to be honest. And then a lot of it is just continuing to listen to my audience and know what they need before they need it, so that ChatGPT can recommend me and then the next and next and next things that I've written about it.
Love it. Love it. All right. So one thing you talk about is the idea of an SEO sales funnel. Can you explain what that looks like?
For sure. So an SEO sales funnel is that old like AIDA or ADA marketing kind of upside down triangle, where basically we're going from someone who has no idea what the thing is all the way down to, oh my God, I need this thing. I'm adding it to my cart right now. Here's my credit card information. And it's typically something that we see with like email marketing funnels or with businesses literally on one single sales page. But I actually do it across the website. So when I've been talking about topical authority, the way that I build that is by writing 10 to 20 posts on a subject. And each post is one stage of that funnel. So essentially we're going from like, okay, I don't even know where I should travel, all the way down to my trip is booked. I've like used Nina's affiliate link for rental cars. I've done this, I've done that, all good. And so we just want to think about the order in which people search. That's the easiest way to think of it. If you are planning to work with an architect, if you're planning to work with someone in marketing, if you're planning to work with me and you're like, hey, what is SEO? What does that even mean? That's actually probably not your first search. Your first search is, okay, how do I get people to my business? How does this work? How do I make money blogging? And then you're like, oh, okay, SEO is a thing. Well, what is that? Those are the awareness stage. Then we move to interest. You know what SEO is, but you need to get a bit more information on it. You're learning about it. You're getting some like tutorials. And then you're like, okay, now I need to evaluate in the desire stage. Is this right for me? Like, should I buy this? Is this something that works for me? Will SEO work for me? And then the action is, yes, it will. I'm pressing like purchase or submit my inquiry or whatever it is to actually get the thing. And the way that you just connect all of those is with internal linking. And so you treat it literally like an email funnel where email 1 then goes to email 2. In this case, it just links to the second one. And if you link to the entire funnel as a little like bonus, choose your own adventure thing, you can get people no matter what stage they're at, because some people advance faster than others.
All right. That is helpful, but I'm wondering if you can kind of anchor it down for us and give us a kind of real world example for, say, a service-based business.
For sure. So my sister's an architect and she was recently working with people to do some windows. So that was what I went with, is some window people. And so with the awareness, it's going to be like some problems or mistakes you're making. So like 5 signs your old windows are costing you money. And then like hidden health risks of drafts in your house, like things that are problems people are having and they don't really even know if new windows are the option yet. Then the interest is more of that like solution how to. So should you repair or replace your windows? Like which is a better option? These were specifically eco-friendly window people. So it was like how eco windows improve insulation, a home energy audit checklist. And then there were a couple other options there. I don't know a lot about windows, so I did my best, but things like, yeah, how many windows should you have in your house? In Canada, we have like a ratio you're allowed to have. Like choosing between a couple different eco windows. Then we had the desire, which is like more comparison proof strategy. The other one was comparing between eco versus traditional windows. This one was comparing different types of eco windows. Then we had a customer success story of like how this person saved $10,000 a year on energy costs. Then we had a cost analysis of how much do eco windows cost entirely. And then we had like a green analysis of how eco-friendly your home would be before and after. And the action is their sales page.
Now, is that all on one page or is that a series of different articles or blog posts?
All different posts. So each one of those would have been its own post. And essentially it's just like each post needs to be one question, I guess, or one stage of thought. Like think of the way you'd have a conversation with someone. If I'm like, oh, my house is so drafty, it's costing me so much. Someone goes, oh, well, you need new windows. And I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, well, windows, da, 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 da. I'm like, oh, okay, so I think I do need new windows. What type of windows should I get? You should get these type of windows because X, Y, Z. Okay, I think eco windows are the way to go. Can you tell me more about them? Like, how does a window be eco, whatever? And so it's, if you just think of those like questions that you're asking somebody in the point of a conversation, that's kind of the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
All right.
And pro tip, ChatGPT can pretend to be that person asking you the questions.
Yes, always good to create your ICPs in AI. So talk to me a little bit more about internal linking and this idea of like these content silos. If we don't have a full-time SEO or marketer on staff, what should we be trying to accomplish?
You should try to get 10 to 20 posts out. I'd say 10, maybe like within a couple months. Doesn't take that long, to be honest. Most posts can be like 1,000 words or so. What you need to do basically is just figure out, what am I selling? What is that main thing I'm selling? If it's a service, if it's a product, whatever. And then you're going to figure out those 10 posts that kind of, well, 9, because your 10th is going to be the sales page, but you're going to figure out those posts that happen above it. You're going to write them. And then you're going to add internal links. Internal links are basically just when you use a hyperlink from any text to move to another post. So we typically want to like have all of that kind of silo, cluster, whatever terms you want to use, pillars, people use, I don't know, beam, whatever term we want to use. You're going to want to make sure they're all linked together. But the main link we care about is the CTA at the end of the post. So in your conclusion, rather than your conclusion being like, heretofore, this happened in this post. It's like, no. What's the next thing? So if you're like, okay, yeah, like my house, I'm wasting so much money on energy. What can I do to fix it? Okay, well, now that you know what to fix, the best fix is windows. Here's a post all about like how to choose the right window. So you're moving that conversation yourself. So I'd write those posts, add those links, and then that's kind of it. Like basically just make sure you're giving the advice and really think of it the way that you would talk to a customer. If you had a discovery call with a customer who's not really sure if they need you yet, or if you've been that person at a party who like, I do this all the time because ADHD, no impulse control. When people like start talking about SEO, I'm like, actually, like, or they're like, yeah, here's my business has no leads. I'm spending so much on ads. I'm like, well, I could help. And I'm like the weird Kool-Aid man, just like shoving myself into conversations. But like when I do that, I think about, what are they asking in those moments? What are they thinking about? Put those into your 10, connect them. And then just make sure that like when you look at it, you're like, hey, if someone was true beginner, intermediate, almost ready to purchase, there's something for each one of them. And then write the post, publish, go do the actual work you enjoy doing.
Okay, so I assume that if we're shifting our approach to SEO, we might also be looking at different metrics. As we look to our GA4 or to Microsoft Clarity, what are the KPIs we should be paying more attention to if we adopt your approach?
I think the main thing is going to be conversions over like quick page views. Like you care more about like time spent on your site because that's showing you that like your content is converting and like doing something for them. But I also think conversions to getting people on your email list, to getting people to send you a contact information form or whatever, to getting people to purchase, I think that's going to ultimately be the main KPI we need to look at. I think things like page views and sessions, honestly, I see them as vanity metrics, which I know like is a bit weird because they do exist. They are doing something. But I'm like, people browsing in a store don't matter to the store. It's the people that purchase from the store, the people that try things on, the people that are engaging with it. So I would recommend setting things up like having an email list. That way you can be checking those metrics and seeing how people engage, having little like mini quizzes or little like polls or something, like give people opportunities to engage. Those are the biggest ones to me.
All right. You've already given us a few, but what is one contrarian take that you have on SEO? Either something that most people are saying you should absolutely do this and you roll your eyes, or vice versa.
I have so many, but my biggest thing is that I think your intro is the most important part of your content. Everyone always says it's like, no, it's the backlinks or it's this or it's the title. I'm like, actually, no. You can adjust those things very easily, but the thing that number one, AI overviews pulls from the most, the first 1,000 words of your content that Google's pulling from, most of that's coming from your intro. And the thing that like AI search often cites the most is your intro. It's also the part where people will leave if it's not good. And it's the reason people end up skimming. People have the most attention at the beginning of your post, so get their attention. Actually tell them, what is all of this? Think of it like a movie trailer. What are we going to talk about? Who are you to talk about this thing? And give them some of the answers. Don't save it all. You don't have to like put your best stuff at the end. In fact, put it early and put some of your unique experiences early that really say like, here's why I am someone to listen to, not that other random girl down the block that's also talking about solo travel who probably hasn't actually ever left the block and like I have. So for like the window business, with one of those introductions, you would talk about like, we've installed this many windows, or we saw like this result from installing windows. You would talk about like, okay, there are 10 types of windows. We always use this one because it's LEED certified and but there are other options too. So people will keep reading. If all they wanted was one sentence, at least you gave it to them. But most people want more than that. So please, for the love of God, write a good intro because it is going to save your SEO.
All right. Nina, if somebody wanted to shift to a funnel-based SEO approach, what is the first step that they should take on that journey?
First thing, you got to really define your audience. So who are you focusing on? And then kind of the second thing is like, what do you want them to do? And if you don't know what you're funneling someone towards, you're just building a weird corn maze that like no one likes a corn maze. They're weird and they smell like corn. So you really want to make sure you have something streamlined. And if you don't know those two things, you're going to be a mess. Then if you are like struggling, ChatGPT can definitely help, but please don't trust ChatGPT for keyword research. It does not have the ability yet. I would definitely go to something like KeySearch, SEMrush, Ahrefs, SE ranking. There's so many, to figure out the actual terms your audience is using. And if you don't know who your audience is, go to some Facebook groups, stalk some YouTube comments, be a little bit like a weird 13-year-old girl doing an FBI mission on her potential crush. Go learn everything you can learn and then figure out what they're struggling with and then work on that first.
Awesome. Nina, if people want to check out your blog, if they want to learn more about your SEO services, if they want to know more about you, where can we send them?
You can come find me at sheknowsseo.co. That's where I live on the internet, basically. It has all my offers, all my freebies, but I also have a special freebie for you guys. sheknowsseo.co/audit will get you my 12-page content audit workbook that I actually used to basically unstuck my site from going from 6,000 page views to 10,000 page views in 1 month. And then it just kept growing from there. So you guys will get that entirely for free. You can also find me at She Knows SEO on YouTube or my free Facebook group, SEO for Bloggers, but business owners are welcome. We just needed something that wasn't a million words. And if I said SEO for every single thing, we would be over the limit.
Awesome. We'll have links to all those in the show notes. Nina, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Rich.
Great stuff from Nina. And if you felt overwhelmed or you missed anything, don't worry, we got you covered. If you go to theagentsofchange.com/594, not only will you be able to listen to the audio, but you'll get a full transcript of my conversation with Nina, as well as a blog post summarizing her best points and all the links that she shared with us. So again, that's at theagentsofchange.com/594. While you're there, you can find links to your favorite podcasting platform. So if you haven't subscribed yet, you can take care of that so you won't ever miss another episode. The big takeaway from this episode: stop following the SEO crowd and start putting your audience first. Because while everyone else is chasing yesterday's algorithm, you'll be building tomorrow's customer relationships like a true agent of change.
Don't miss another thrilling episode of the Agents of Change podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform.